Summary and analysis of My Silently Mother. Every family has someone whose presence is taken for granted. Meals appear on the table, clothes are washed, the house keeps moving as if by habit. People rarely stop to ask who keeps everything together. In My Silently Mother, the person is Mai. She stands at the center of a traditional North Indian household. Relatives visit, children grow up, festivals come and go. Life flows through the rooms of the house with its usual noise, expectations, and routines. Through all of this, Mai keeps working in the background, managing the endless duties that hold the family together. Yet she almost never pushes herself forward. She listens more than she speaks. She adjusts. She absorbs the demands of everyone around her. To the outside world, she appears like countless mothers we have seen in our own homes. Someone who serves others first and leaves her own wishes unspoken. Her children, however, begin to look at her differently as they grow older. Why does she accept everything so easily? Why does she never protest? Why does she never claim space for herself? The daughter who narrates the story starts questioning the life her mother lives. The children feel anger towards the system that seems to keep Mai small. They believe she deserves something more, something freer. But the more closely they observe her, the more their certainty begins to crack. Is Mai really powerless? Or have they misunderstood the meaning of her restraint? The novel slowly unfolds through everyday scenes, family conversations, small tensions, moments that appear ordinary but carry deep emotional weight. Through these moments, a new picture of Mai begins to emerge. Not a woman defeated by tradition, but someone who understands the world in ways that others in the house have yet to grasp. Summary of My Silently Mother. My Silently Mother begins inside a familiar North Indian home, the kind many of us have seen: a courtyard, rooms filled with relatives, the smell of food drifting from the kitchen, someone calling from one corner of the house, someone answering from another. Life moves constantly. At the center of this busy household stands Mai. She is the mother, the one who wakes first, the one who makes sure everyone eats, the one who notices small needs before anyone asks. If someone is ill, she sits beside the bed. If guests arrive, she quietly rearranges the entire day so that no one feels unwelcome. Strangely, the family almost never talks about her. She moves through the house like a steady presence that everyone depends on but rarely questions. Her husband speaks with authority, the elders command respect, visitors praise the family. Mai simply continues with her work. The children grow up watching all this. At first, they accept it the way children accept everything. Mothers cook, mothers serve, mothers sacrifice. That is how the world seems to work. But slowly, the daughter begins to notice something troubling. Her mother never argues, never insists, never demands anything for herself. When others make decisions, she nods. When expectations pile up, she adjusts her life around them. Why does she accept everything so easily? The daughter cannot stop thinking about it. As the children grow older, they begin to see the invisible rules governing the household. The father commands the center of attention. Relatives expect obedience. Traditions decide what a woman should do and how she should behave. Mai fits perfectly into this system, or at least that is how it appears. To the children, she begins to look like someone trapped inside a role she never chose, a woman who has slowly disappeared into duty. The daughter feels a strange mixture of love, frustration, and helplessness whenever she watches her mother quietly managing the endless demands of family life. Something about it feels unfair. The daughter and her brother start talking about it in private. They wonder why their mother never resists, why she never pushes back when others treat her sacrifices as normal. Perhaps she is afraid, perhaps she has simply accepted her fate. The children begin to imagine that one day they will help her break free from this life. They will change things, they will give their mother the freedom she never claimed for herself. It sounds noble, it sounds right. But the truth, as they will slowly discover, is far more complicated than the simple story they have built in their minds. And Mai, the woman they think they understand, is still waiting to reveal who she really is. Time moves forward and the children grow up. School turns into college. The world outside the house slowly opens before them. They begin to meet new people, read new ideas, and question the customs that once seemed natural. Inside the house, however, life continues in the same familiar rhythm. Mai still keeps everything running. If relatives arrive unexpectedly, she adjusts the entire household without creating any disturbance. If arguments erupt among family members, She somehow softens the tension before it grows too serious. No one openly acknowledges this ability, yet everyone relies on it. Then gradually, the daughter begins to notice something she had missed earlier. Mai understands the house better than anyone else. She knows when the father is about to lose his temper. She knows which relative must be handled carefully. She knows when silence will calm a situation and when a few gentle words will change the mood of the room. Her influence really appears dramatic. It works quietly, almost invisibly, but its effect is unmistakable. Without Mai, the delicate balance of the family would collapse. The daughter begins observing her mother more carefully. She watches how Mai moves through the day, how she listens before responding, how she absorbs criticism without turning bitter. These small acts begin to reveal a different picture. Perhaps Mai has not simply surrendered to her circumstances. Perhaps she has learned to navigate them. This realization creates a strange confusion in the daughter's mind. The image of a helpless mother no longer fits perfectly. Yet the daughter still cannot fully understand the choices Mai has made. Why choose this life? Why continue carrying burdens that others rarely appreciate? Mai never offers a direct explanation. Instead, she continues doing what she has always done. She cares for the house, she watches over the children, she maintains the fragile harmony of a complicated family. The daughter slowly begins to realize that strength does not always appear in loud gestures or dramatic rebellion. Sometimes it takes the form of patience. Sometimes it appears as endurance. Sometimes this strength lives in a person who seems ordinary until you begin to look closely. By the time the daughter reaches adulthood, her understanding of Mai has begun to shift. The simple story she once believed no longer feels the same. For years, she had thought of her mother as someone who needed saving, someone who had quietly surrendered her own identity to family duty. It seemed obvious to the younger generation that this life must feel suffocating. But the longer she watches Mai, the more that certainty begins to fade. Mai continues to live as she always has. She cares for the household, watches over the family, and carries out the small responsibilities that fill each day. Yet there is something steady about her presence, something that does not look defeated. The daughter begins to notice that Mai rarely complains about her life. She does not speak of sacrifice. She does not ask for sympathy. She simply moves forward with a calm acceptance that puzzles those around her. At times, the daughter wonders if her earlier judgment had been too harsh. Perhaps she had looked at her mother only through the lens of modern ideas, ideas that value open defiance, bold decisions, and visible independence. When those standards were applied to Mai, her life appeared limited. But Mai herself does not seem to see it that way. Over time, the daughter realizes that her mother has built a different kind of strength, a strength shaped by patience, awareness, and deep understanding of the people around her. She knows how families function. She knows how emotions rise and fall. She knows when to speak, when to wait, and when to allow time to resolve a conflict. This kind of wisdom really attracts attention. It does not produce dramatic scenes or heroic speeches. It works slowly through small gestures and quiet adjustments that keep relationships intact. The daughter begins to see that Mai has never been as simple as she once believed. Her life cannot be explained through a single idea such as oppression or sacrifice. It is more complicated than that. Mai has chosen to live within the structure of her family, yet she has also shaped that structure in subtle ways that others rarely notice. In the end, the daughter reaches surprising realization. The mother she once thought needed saving may have understood her own life better than anyone else. Mai remains who she has always been, a mother whose strength does not announce itself loudly, yet quietly holds an entire world together. The children who once thought they understood her are left with a deeper question. How well do we really understand the lives of those who stand closest to us? What is the central message of the novel? You may think, what's the story about? If nothing changes, if the mother keeps on working and her life doesn't go through any change, what is the purpose of the story? Externally, almost nothing changes. Mai does not rebel, she does not leave the household, she does not confront the system dramatically. What changes is the daughter's understanding, and that is exactly the point of the novel. My Silently Mother is not built around events, it is built around perception. The story asks a difficult question. Do we really understand the lives of people closest to us, or do we only see them through our own beliefs? At the beginning, the daughter interprets Mai's life using a modern framework. She thinks a woman must assert herself, a woman must resist injustice, a woman must openly demand freedom. When Mai does none of these things, the daughter assumes she is weak. But as the story unfolds, the daughter realizes that her mother may not be weak at all. Mai understands the emotional ecosystem of the household better than anyone. She knows how to prevent conflicts, protect relationships, and hold the family together. Her influence operates quietly, but it shapes everything around her. The daughter slowly realizes that she had misread her strength, or rather, the lack of it. What is the main theme of the novel? The central theme is the invisible life of a mother inside a traditional Indian household. The novel examines how a woman can hold an entire family together while remaining almost unnoticed. It also questions the way younger generations interpret that life. At first, the daughter assumes her mother is oppressed and powerless, but gradually she realizes that her mother's life cannot be reduced to a simple story of victimhood. So the real theme becomes misunderstanding. Children believe they understand their parents, but often they see only fragments of their inner world. The novel asks, do we really know the people closest to us? Is it a family drama? Yes, in many ways it is a family drama, a family novel. Most of the story unfolds inside a household. The narrative explores daily routines, relationships, tensions, expectations, and the small negotiations that keep family life running. But it is not a dramatic family saga with big events. The drama here is subtle and psychological. The novel is also about a mother daughter relationship. The entire story is filtered through the daughter's attempt to understand her mother. In that sense, the novel is almost like a long meditation on a daughter trying to decode the life of the woman who raised her. Their relationship becomes the lens through which the reader observes the whole family. Some may even term it as a coming of age story. The daughter grows intellectually and emotionally as the novel progresses. Her understanding of society, gender, and family evolves. The biggest change happens in her perception of Mai. So you could say the novel contains a quiet coming of age arc. So, what does the story achieve in the end? The novel does not resolve the situation by transforming Mai's life. Instead, it changes the reader's understanding of her. By the end, the reader sees that Mai cannot be explained using simple labels like victim, martyr, or rebel. She is more complex than that. This shift in perception is the novel's real achievement. The main characters of the novel. Mai, the mother. Mai is the central figure of the novel. She runs the household, looks after everyone, and rarely pushes herself forward. At first glance, she appears like a typical self sacrificing mother in a traditional family. She cooks, manages visitors, keeps the peace, and carries out endless responsibilities without complaint. But the deeper the story goes, the more complex she becomes. Her patience, emotional intelligence, and quiet control over family dynamics slowly reveal a strength that others had failed to notice. The entire novel is essentially an attempt to understand Mai, the daughter, the narrator. The story is told largely through the perspective of Mai's daughter. The daughter is not given a clear, consistent personal name in the novel. She functions mainly as a narrator and observer. The story unfolds through her memories, reflections, and attempts to understand her mother. Because of this narrative approach, the focus stays firmly on Mai, not on the daughter as an independent character with her own identity. Many readers believe this is intentional. By not emphasizing the daughter's name, the novel shifts attention toward the act of looking at the mother rather than toward the daughter herself. The narrator becomes almost like a lens through which we see Mai's life. As a child, she accepts her mother's life without questioning it. But as she grows older and becomes educated, she begins to see things differently. She wonders why her mother never asserts herself and starts believing that Mai is trapped in a restrictive system. Much of the novel follows the daughter's changing perception of her mother. Her journey is intellectual and emotional. She moves from judgment to deeper understanding. Subodh, the son. Subodh is the brother of the narrator. He shares many of the daughter's early frustrations about the family structure. Like her, he believes that Mai deserves a freer life. The two siblings often discuss their mother and imagine ways in which her situation could improve. Through these conversations, we see how the younger generation interprets the older generation's choices. Babu, the father. Babu represents the traditional authority of the household. He expects respect, obedience, and order within the family. His presence reinforces the patriarchal structure in which Mai operates. Yet he is not portrayed as a villain. Instead, he reflects the values and expectations of his generation. His role helps the reader understand the environment in which Mai lives. Dadi, the grandmother. Dadi represents an even older generation of tradition. She often reinforces established customs and social expectations. Through her character, the novel shows how family hierarchies and cultural norms are passed down across generations. Important questions about Mai Silently Mother. What kind of novel is Mai Silently Mother? At the surface level, The book looks like a simple family story set in a North Indian household. Much of the narrative unfolds within the home, among daily routines, relatives, and ordinary conversations. There are no dramatic adventures or sudden plot twists. Instead, the story follows the slow rhythm of domestic life. Because of this focus, the novel is often described as literary fiction and a domestic family narrative. Its interest lies less in events and more in understanding relationships, emotions, and unspoken tensions within a household. The real drama takes place in the minds of the characters, particularly in how the daughter tries to interpret her mother's life. Who is Mai, and why is she the central figure of the story? Mai is the mother who quietly holds the family together. She manages the household, attends to everyone's needs, and carries the weight of endless responsibilities. At first glance, Mai appears like many mothers in traditional families, someone who places others before herself and rarely asserts her own desires. However, as the story unfolds, Mai becomes far more complex than this initial impression. Her patience, emotional intelligence, and ability to maintain balance within the family reveal a subtle strength. The novel invites readers to reconsider what they assume about people who appear self effacing on the surface. What is the growth arc of the narrator, the daughter? The daughter begins the story with a strong belief that her mother is trapped in an unfair system. Influenced by modern ideas about independence and equality, the narrator thinks that a woman should openly challenge restrictions placed upon her. From this perspective, Mai's acceptance of her role seems troubling. As the story progresses, the daughter slowly realizes that her interpretation may have been too simple. By observing her mother more closely, she begins to understand that Mai's choices may contain their own form of strength and wisdom. This shift in understanding represents the daughter's emotional and intellectual growth. Is the novel about Mai or about the daughter's journey? The novel operates on both levels at the same time. On one hand, Mai is clearly the emotional center of the story. Every relationship, tension, and conversation in the household eventually leads back to her. The narrative constantly circles around the question of who Mai really is. At the same time, the novel is also the story of the daughter's attempt to understand her mother. The daughter's perceptions change as she grows older, and this change shift forms the central theme of the book. In that sense, the novel is both a portrait of Mai and a journey of understanding undertaken by the daughter. Does the novel show a change in Mai's life or change in perception? Mai's external life does not undergo dramatic transformation. She continues performing the same roles within the household, managing daily responsibilities and maintaining family harmony. The structure of her life remains largely intact throughout the novel. What truly changes is the way the daughter and the reader perceive Mai. The story gradually reveals that what once looked like weakness might actually contain resilience and awareness. Instead of altering events, the novel transforms the reader's understanding of those events. Is Babu the villain of the novel? Babu might initially appear to represent the oppressive side of the household. As the father and authority figure, he expects obedience and upholds traditional expectations within the family. From the children's perspective, he can seem like the force limiting their mother's freedom. However, the novel does not portray Babu as a simple villain. Babu is also a product of his time and upbringing. Rather than presenting a single antagonist, the story shows how social norms, family structures, and inherited expectations shape everyone's behavior. The tension comes from the system itself, not from one evil character. What role does the joint family environment play in the story? The joint family structure forms the backdrop against which every relationship develops. Within this environment, authority, tradition, and hierarchy shape daily life. Elders command respect, younger members adjust to expectations, and the household runs according to established patterns. Mai's life is closely tied to this structure. Her ability to manage relationships and maintain harmony within the family becomes one of her defining qualities. The household is not just a setting, it acts almost like another character influencing how everyone behaves. What larger themes does the novel explore? One of the most important themes is the invisibility of maternal labor. Mothers often devote enormous effort to sustaining their families, yet their work becomes so routine that it goes unnoticed. The novel draws attention to this hidden emotional and practical labor. Another theme concerns the gap between generations. The younger generation interprets the older generation's lives through modern ideas of independence and self expression. The novel gently questions whether these interpretations always capture the full complexity of another person's experience. Why would you want to read My Silent Mother? One reason to read My Silently Mother is that it makes you look at mothers in a completely different way. Many stories focus on dramatic lives, heroic struggles, or rebellion characters. This novel turns its attention to a mother whose life appears very ordinary. She cooks, manages the house, looks after relatives, and quietly holds the family together. Yet, as the narrative unfolds, the reader begins to see how much emotional and practical labor goes into sustaining a household. The book gently reminds us that the people who do most of the work in a family often receive the least attention. Another reason is that the novel beautifully captures the tension between generations. The daughter belongs to a younger world shaped by modern ideas about independence and equality. She looks at her mother and believes that such a life must feel restrictive. But her mother comes from a different time with different values and expectations. The story shows how these two perspectives can clash even when love exists between them. The story portrays the misunderstandings that naturally arise when children judge their parents through ideas that did not exist in their parents' youth. The novel is also worth reading because it offers a vivid portrait of everyday domestic life in a North Indian household. Festivals, relatives, family obligations, and the endless rhythm of daily routines form the background of the story. Nothing appears dramatic on the surface, yet these small details create a rich picture of how families function. Through these ordinary moments, the reader begins to understand how traditions, habits, and unspoken expectations shape people's lives. The book also raises an interesting question about the nature of strength. Most narratives celebrate bold acts of resistance or dramatic attempts to break free from limitations. This story invites readers to consider another possibility. Sometimes endurance, patience, and the ability to maintain harmony within difficult circumstances require their own kind of courage. The novel encourages readers to reconsider what strength actually looks like. Finally, this is the kind of novel that stays with you long after you finish it. Instead of delivering a clear moral or neat resolution, it leaves behind thoughtful questions. Readers may find themselves thinking about their own families, especially about the people whose efforts have quietly shaped their lives. The story lingers because it changes the way we look at the familiar figures who stand at the center of our homes. Why you may not want to read My Silently Mother? There are also reasons why some readers may not find My Silently Mother appealing. The novel moves slowly and focuses on everyday domestic life rather than dramatic events. Readers who enjoy fast paced stories with strong plot twists, suspense, or major turning points may find the narrative too quiet and reflective. Much of the book is built around observation and inner thoughts, so the pace can feel deliberate and unhurried. Another reason is that the novel does not provide a clear dramatic resolution. Mai's life does not change in a spectacular way by the end of the story. The household continues much as before, and the main shift occurs in the daughter's understanding of her mother. Readers who expect a strong transformation or a decisive confrontation with social norms may feel that the story remains emotionally unresolved. Some readers may also find the book intellectually demanding. The narrative spends a great deal of time examining subtle emotions and family dynamics rather than presenting simple moral conclusions. Instead of telling the reader exactly what to think, the novel invites reflection. For readers looking for straightforward storytelling, this reflective style may require more patience than they prefer. Finally, the themes of the novel revolve around traditional family structures, generational expectations, and the voiceless labor of mothers. While these ideas are meaningful, they unfold through small moments rather than dramatic scenes. Readers who prefer action driven plots or larger social conflicts might feel that the story remains too confined within the domestic space of the household. In short, the novel rewards readers who enjoy thoughtful literary fiction, but those who prefer fast plots, dramatic changes, and strong external conflicts may not find it as engaging. With this, I end the summary and analysis of My Silently Mother. If you have found my commentary engaging and insightful, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, or click the bell icon so that you receive a notification when I upload my next video.